My playwriting professor yesterday, when I was leaving class, I said thank you, because I always say thank you to my professors when I'm leaving, and he was like, bye, Ashley, see you on Thursday. But I swear you don't know him.
I don't think I do.
I have no idea why he would have called me Ashley.
That's so weird.
And that happens to me sometimes, that not that people call me Ashley, but people call me Amber all the time.
Really?
And I don't know where they get it from, but my 4th grade teacher would always call me Amber, and ever since then, just randomly, I feel like people will call me Amber.
It's because of the Amber and Ashley on Hannah Montana.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's mostly adults, like older adults. I'm pretty sure they watched a lot of Hannah Montana.
Our great uncle loved Hannah Montana, and he was like 60.
That's true. It was probably creepy.
I wonder if he actually liked it, or if he was just telling us he liked it.
I don't know. I really feel like he actually watched it.
My insurance company thinks that I'm you.
I know.
Like, anytime I log into my health insurance network, it says, welcome back, Aspen, and I keep trying to fix it and it won't change, so I'm not really sure what to do about that.
Which is so weird, because I've never used my insurance, like, since we got on this insurance plan.
Really?
2 years ago, or a year and a half, or I guess it was a year ago, because I think it was last year when we took a leave of absence, but I have not gone to the doctor or done anything that uses medical insurance, so I have no idea why it thinks that you're me.
Like, at all?
Mm-mm.
That's crazy, man. I've cost them like tens of thousands of dollars.
Know. Well, I refuse to go to the doctor.
I know.
So.
That's not good. You should go.
I should probably go to the doctor for my split thumb. Not really.
That's probably why you should go.
But I lost a lot of blood the other day when my thumb split open. It was gushing everywhere. It was so gross.
Yum. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. Anyway, guys, this is Aspen, not Ashley, and not Amber, the better half of the Summers twins.
And this is Ashley, not Aspen, not Allison, the bestest half of the Summers twins.
Someday we should tell people our names are Amber and Allison.
Okay, we should.
Those would be like our aliases.
Yeah.
We could be Hannah Montana and have alternate personalities.
We should.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Sometimes I've thought about if you and I just pretended we were one person, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we could be a famous actor collectively and, like, do 2 projects at the same time.
I feel like if we were doing 2 projects at the same time, someone might find out.
I guess that's true. Maybe not 2 projects at the same time, but I don't know.
But, like, one of us could stay at home and write a novel, and the other one could go be an actor, and then we could switch the next project.
Yeah.
And
or,
people
like,
would be like, wow, Ashley, how do you get so much done?
It would just be so convenient. We could just enroll as one person into USC, and then when we have other stuff that we have to do, we can just, the other one goes to your classes.
We should write a movie about twins who do that.
That's a good idea.
Because that would actually be really interesting.
Okay, let's do it. Next project. Finish editing the book first. And
okay,
then we'll
I will.
start it.
But first, we should try that with, like, new people that we don't know, just as research. And then we can write the book.
We need to move to, like, Cape Town or something where there's absolutely no way anyone would have any idea who we were.
Yeah.
And then try it. Where's South Africa?
I knew that. I'm not an idiot. But I'm not good at geography. It's because I skipped 7th grade, and that's when you were supposed to take geography, so I never took it. I took AP Human Geography, but
you didn't learn where countries were.
No, they assumed you already knew that.
Yeah.
Silly them.
Well, we both got 5s on that test, though.
Yeah, because they didn't ask you to label a map.
No. But we were kind of mad because we did not want to know our scores on the AP test, and our parents checked, and then they were trying to hint at us what score we got, because a 5 is, like, the highest score that you can get. But we didn't want them to do that because then we would know in the future if they weren't trying to tell us that we didn't get 5s. So even though we got the scores that we wanted, then it caused a lot of stress in the future. And there was times, like, when the Yale early decisions came out, that I thought they had looked and they didn't say anything to me, which I got deferred, so it wasn't good news. But they hadn't looked, and I thought they were just, like, keeping it a secret from me, and it was like weeks, maybe months, that I thought that they knew and I didn't.
Well, just to clarify, I wasn't mad when they did that with the AP scores because I was so nervous to look. So then when they did that, then I wasn't nervous anymore. It was just stressful other times because then you didn't know if they had already looked and it was bad news, so they weren't trying to tell you. But also, you got so mad about it that I don't think they would have done that again.
I didn't remember being so mad about it. I think it was just caused stress for the future.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't remember my other AP test scores now. Like, it was so important back then, but I mean, I know I passed all of them, but I don't remember if I got 3s or 4s or 5s.
I think I got a 5 on stats.
Yeah, I think I did too.
I got a 4 on AP Lit, but I had a concussion when I took the test, which probably didn't make any difference, except that I think I didn't take it. I took a makeup or something.
I think you took it the same day as me.
If I did, I wasn't sure that I was going to, maybe. I'm not sure. And then I can't remember if I got a 4 or 5 on AP US History.
What about AP Euro?
I didn't take it.
Oh, did I take it? I might have not.
I have no idea. I don't remember.
I kind of feel like I did, but I don't know why I would have taken it if you didn't. Then our senior year, did we take any of the AP
No, because of COVID. And we already knew we were going to USC and that they wouldn't accept any of them.
Oh, that's funny.
But if I would have taken the AP Music Theory test, I would have gotten a 0 on it.
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
even think you can get a 0. I think the lowest you can get is a 1, but I would have figured out a way.
This was a really interesting conversation. Aren't you all glad that you listened in?
If you don't know what AP tests are, you take AP classes, which are like advanced placement, so they're supposed to be college level, but in high school, and then like it's a national program, so at the end of the year you take a test. If you get a certain score on it, then some colleges will accept it towards college credits, but they're kind of, I have mixed feelings about them, because if you have a really good teacher, then they might not do this, but also they know that you need to pass the test to get the credit, so even if they're an amazing teacher, they know that you have to be focused on the test. And so it kind of sucks because you usually spend the whole year studying for the test and not actually like learning the material, just memorizing it and practicing how to write for the AP test and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you have the option to take AP classes, or your kids do, one thing I would recommend is take AP Stats, because we took that in high school, and most of our AP credits our college only took as electives, but some colleges will put it towards academic classes like general ed classes. But our school didn't with any except for AP Stats. For some reason, they counted that as a math class, and a lot of schools do. So that means that you don't have to take math at all in college. I mean, obviously, if you're studying like chemistry or something, you will, but we didn't have to because we're studying theater. And it was really nice to not have to take math in college. And AP Stats is probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest AP class that there is.
People have said to me that they struggle so much in their stats class. So I don't want to say that it's easy for everybody, but if you're like me and you're horrible at other math, statistics make sense because it's like actual things and not X's and Y's and A's and B's and M's that don't make any sense. So it was very much a saving grace for me. I was determined to not take math in college, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Okay, we better start because I gotta leave for class in like 30 minutes.
Okay, well, hopefully we're not going to talk for 30 more minutes. I mean, we
didn't
can
start yet.
Well, I was going to include some of that.
Oh, 12 minutes of us talking
Not
about
12 minutes.
Okay, I'm just kidding. But we'll get into the nitty-gritty now.
The nitty-gritty about airports. We are coming to you to give you the truth about traveling in America.
Live from the airport. Just kidding.
We should have. We could have.
Yeah. Well, not the last airport.
Well, no, we could have because we were there for so long.
Oh, yeah, like while we were in line?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have.
Everybody always says that their airport is the worst airport ever. Not everybody, but
everyone in LA.
Everyone in LA thinks that LAX is the worst airport ever, and they just don't stop whining about how much they hate LAX. Guys, you have never been to the Denver International Airport. Or if you have, you were asleep or forgot to put on your glasses. or you blocked out the memory because it was traumatic for you. I don't think that DIA is like actually traumatic, but it is by far the worst airport. Like
the worst airport we've ever been to. Yeah. And we've been to LAX a lot.
I really don't understand when people say LAX is so bad. First of all, I will say that we usually fly Southwest, and I think that the Southwest terminal is the easiest to get through because I've flown other airlines, and when I flew United by myself one time, I got a little lost because it's just a bigger terminal. But still, it took me probably half an hour to get through the terminal when I was flying United, and they couldn't scan my boarding pass at security, so I had to go and print a boarding pass, and the printer wasn't working, and I still got through in 30 minutes, and I couldn't find my gate once I got through security, and I had to stop and use the bathroom and fill my water bottle. So, all that to say, when you go to DIA, there's always a line. Oftentimes, there's crazy lines.
Because they're extremely inefficient.
Yeah, the way that DIA is set up makes no sense. And we probably shouldn't be talking about this because we did a commercial for DIA, so it's probably a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but that was long enough ago that I don't think it still matters.
Yeah, the way that they set up this airport makes no sense. So nobody knows where you're supposed to go.
And it's been under construction for like 15 years, so it's different every time you go.
The way that security is set up makes no sense. Sometimes pre-check is in the normal line, and sometimes it's off to this one side, and sometimes only the north bridge is open, and sometimes it's not open, and you usually are walking through a maze to try to get to security. And then after you get through security, you have to take a train to your terminal, which isn't like horrific because a lot of airports you have to take a train, but it's just so crowded at DIA. Like the really nice thing about LAX is that the terminals are just completely separate. If you're flying Southwest, you go into Terminal 1 and it's like only Southwest. They might have one or two other planes from other airlines every once in a while, but you're separate from everybody else. But when you're at DIA, everybody's just in the same area, so you're all waiting in line for security together, and you're all waiting to get on the train. Anyway, I think I'm boring people, but
yeah, you might be.
I would really love if LA natives or people who think that LAX is so bad could, like, explain why you think it's so bad. We never have to get to the airport more than an hour before our flight, and usually we literally get through in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we hate waiting at the airport, so we're always like so annoyed.
I mean, also, we don't usually check bags at LAX, but still, even when we have, it's just so fast. Like, it's just crazy. And people, like professors will be like, oh, you better get to the airport 12 hours early when it's before Thanksgiving break or something. And so then I expect that it's going to be super busy. And even with LA traffic, it's not that bad getting there. And then the airport is just so calm and we get through everything so fast. I mean, also, we always take red eyes, so that might be a little bit part of why it's so fast for us. But when we go to DIA and we have a red eye, it's still crazy.
Well, yeah, because we'll take a red eye that leaves LAX at like 10 p.m. or something, and there's nobody at LAX. And then we land at Denver at 11:30 or midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever time it is when we land. And it's packed.
And, like, you can't get on the train because it's stuffed full of people.
Yeah, and, like, we take the little side stairs that you always think you're going to get stuck in instead of taking the escalator up to baggage claim because the escalator's so crowded that you can't even get on it. Like, that's just how crowded it is all the time.
I will say, though, that they've redone a lot of the gates in DIA, and they're really nice now. Like, the waiting areas are really nice, but it's not worth it because you have to walk, like, 7 miles to get there.
Yeah, somehow we always end up in the very back of the terminal. And I feel like they change what gates in the back of the terminal because usually we'll be, like, C55 or something, so we're in the way back. And then the next time we're, like, C5, and I'm like, oh, we aren't gonna have to walk, but then we're in the way back on the other side.
I think it's like the other side starts at 1 and then it goes to like 40, and then the next side starts at 41 and goes to 55, but it starts like in the middle, whereas 1 is at the other end. So
it's very misleading.
Yeah. should we tell them about our terrible experience the other day?
Well, I was going to say that was the one lucky thing that happened when we were flying home or when we were flying back to school from being home for Christmas break. We weren't at the very end of the terminal, which you might have missed our flight if we were.
Yeah.
And that never happens, that we're not at the end. So I think that was the only luck that we had that day.
I don't know if I would have missed it, but I would have been the last person to board, probably. Yeah. So what happened on our last flight, if you're in Denver, you might have heard this on the news. We had a flight back to LA. It was probably 8:10 that it took off, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to
AM.
AM. So we got to the airport around 6 in the morning, maybe 6:15. And there was a crazy line outside at the Southwest bag check, like the Sky Cap where you can check your bags outside. And we were like, whoa, this was not a good day to fly back, I guess, because every college student in the world apparently is flying, and there was just an absurdly long line. And so Aspen went inside to check if the line inside was shorter, and I stayed outside to hold our spot in that line in case that one was shorter. But it was freezing outside, and Aspen is really bad at being in the cold, and I was freezing, so I knew that it was going to be impossible for her to wait out there. So then I was like, well, the line inside can't be that much worse. Let's just go inside. So we went inside, and the line inside was just madness too. It wasn't that much worse than outside, but it was so long, and it wasn't even a line. It was just like a crowd of people. Like, nobody really even knew where they were going or what they were waiting for. I mean, they were all waiting to check their bags. So,
but since there was no line, nobody knew why they were standing there.
Yeah.
They were just joining the crowd, hoping that they would make it to where they were supposed to be.
Yeah. So eventually we figured out that we were in the wrong line, and we needed to get into another even more chaotic line to wait for the kiosk where you print your bag tags. And then we needed to come back and get in that line we had already been waiting in to hand off our bags. So then we were waiting and waiting for the kiosks in this crazy crowd of people, and everyone was just pushing in front of each other and not really waiting in line, just creating this huge mess, and there was no organization to the line at all. And it was just crazy. And then we found out that the reason there was this crazy line was that the conveyor belts that bring the luggage from where you check your bag to the planes or wherever they take them before they put them on the planes, they were all broken. So that's why nobody could check their bags, because they couldn't get the bags to the planes. And so the people were like, there's pretty much no way that you're going to get your luggage when you land, because they were just stacking all the suitcases, just filling up the floor in the airport with all these suitcases. So then, I'm not a very good storyteller. No. This is getting really boring. We finally got to the kiosks, and we printed our tags, and
we were separated.
Yeah, we got separated by this point. And so I didn't know if Aspen was anywhere close to getting up to the kiosk. I printed her a tag, but she had already printed her own tag, and somehow she got to the front of where you put your bag, gave your bag to the worker.
So I was at the kiosk right next to it. And I did this smart thing that you can do when you look young, is you kind of pretend you're an adult's kid. So there's this man with a really little kid in front of me, and I needed to get to the front of the line. So I just kind of snuck my way in right behind him to make people think that I was with him, and then handed off my bag.
Yeah, which was pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
I do that sometimes when I'm worried I'm going to get kidnapped when I'm walking around LA at night. I just will follow a family around really close so that people think I'm with them. So then she told me to try to do that, but I couldn't even figure out where the front of the line was when I went back over there, because there was just so many people. So I had to get in the back of that line, and she went through security. I told her to just go through and get to our gate, because I figured it was going to take me forever to be in that line. Then we had decided we both had 3 bags, and you can have 2 carry-ons, but we figured that we would check 2 of them and then just bring 1 carry-on, because we always get really stressed out about putting our bags in the overhead bins because we're short and we can't reach them. So I was waiting there for probably another 45 minutes, something really long.
Probably 30.
Yeah, but it took a really long time. We had already been waiting for at least an hour to get into the kiosks. And then because of all this madness, then the security lines were pretty long. And I was just there is no way I'm going to make it to our flight. It was so much craziness. I finally got through, and I think I made it to our gate at like 7:45 or something in the middle of boarding. So it was pretty touch and go that I was not going to get on our flight and be able to go back to school.
So my mom had been saying, like, don't worry, they're most likely going to delay the flight because everyone's going to be waiting in that line. But they boarded on time. They were saying it was going to be on time. And we had a shuttle booked back to USC from LAX that was supposed to be like half an hour after we were supposed to be landing, because usually it doesn't take very long to get through LAX. So we thought it might be a little bit close, but we also always land way earlier than they say because they scheduled 2.5 hours for the flight, and it's never more than 2 hours. But there was a shuttle the next hour too, so we were like, worst case, we can just wait for the next shuttle and hope that there's spots left. So we were supposed to take off at 8:10, and we're just sitting there on the plane and sitting there, and then it's 8:45, and then they finally come on and say that they were waiting for the bags and they're going to take off soon. So I was like, okay, well, now we're probably not going to make the shuttle, but at least they waited for the bags, so hopefully our bags are going to make it. So then they pull away from the gate, and then there's this really big jerk and a popping sound. And then the plane stops. Something happened with one of the brakes, and so they have to have maintenance come and look at it. I'm not really a nervous flyer, but I am enough that something like that makes me a little bit nervous. So obviously I was glad that they were coming to look at it if they thought there was anything wrong with it. But I was also like, oh my gosh, we really need to take off. We've been waiting forever. Obviously, people have waited a lot longer in other situations on the plane, but it's still, we were just like antsy and stressed and wanted to take off.
And I have a big fear of being stuck on the plane and not being able to get off.
Yeah. I thought it was going to take a long time for maintenance to come look at it, and they might have to deboard the plane and everything. But it was about 20 minutes, and then they were like, everything's fine, we're taking off. And so that made me a little more nervous because I was like, well, hopefully everything actually is fine. Then we get in the air, and as soon as we get in the air, it is so turbulent. And because of the whole brake thing, even though it's usually turbulent when you're flying in Denver, I was pretty sure we were going to plummet to our deaths. So it was not a super fun flight. So we finally made it, and it was 10 o'clock exactly when we landed, which was when our shuttle was supposed to be. So we were like, no way we're going to make it. We go to baggage claim, and we're waiting, and Las Vegas bags and Denver bags were coming down on the same baggage claim thing. So we weren't sure if all the Denver bags had dropped or not because it still said Denver first bag on the screen. But at this point, it was like 10:45. So then they finally say that all the Denver bags had dropped and our bags didn't come. So then we had to wait in the insanely long customer service line because they also had belts down in, they had it written up on one of the whiteboards, but they had belts down in like 4 airports. So there was a lot of people who didn't have bags. Then Ashley stood off to the side with our carry-on bags because they were really heavy, and I waited in line to report our bags. At that point, we were like, okay, well, maybe we'll make the 11:30 shuttle if we go really fast, because it said that it was a 7-minute walk when I mapped it from where we were standing, and it was like 11:15. And so we book it over to trying to get to Terminal 7, and then we had been walking, like speed walking with all of our bags for 12 minutes, and we weren't even at Terminal 4 yet. Because
there was a stupid Terminal B in between 3 and 4.
So then we were like, there's no way we're going to make it. It was so far. But we were so tired and carrying all of our bags. So then we were like, okay, we're just going to wait for the shuttle to get back to LA Exit, which is where you get on taxis and Ubers and Lyfts and stuff. In that terminal, it was so crowded. So then we were waiting for 3 shuttles before we finally got on a shuttle. And then we got to LA Exit, and then the Uber app said that it was 6 minutes away for like half an hour. before the Uber finally came, which wasn't the end of the world, except that at that point we had been at the airport for like 2.5 hours. I know we just said that LAX is not bad compared to DIA, but all of this was because of problems that happened at DIA.
Yeah.
So,
except for the LA exit thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so long story short, it was a really bad karma travel day, it felt like, for us.
And then we thought that our Uber driver was trying to kidnap us because he was going the most insane route that we had never seen before. And I was getting notifications from Uber on my phone that was like, it looks like your route is different. It looks like your ride is taking longer than expected. Please check these safety tools to make sure you're still on track. But then we made it back in one piece.
We did.
And we got our luggage yesterday from Southwest.
Yeah,
so.
It was amazing that they were able to deliver it because we were really worried about having to get back to the airport. And the courier service was very nice and friendly in trying to call when they were on their way and stuff, except that the first time they came, they were supposed to be delivering to my apartment, and they came at 2:30 in the morning, which I don't get cell service in my apartment, and I was asleep, so I missed their calls. Well, they called my mom because we put in her phone number and mine just in case. So then she called me like 5 times, but of course I missed it. So then they didn't drop them off. So then I was so stressed all day because I was like, I'm in classes and I'm not going to be at my apartment, and I don't want them to come again and not be able to leave them. But we got them. It was all good.
And especially because these new microphones that we got were in one of those bags. So.
Yeah.
It would have been really stressful if we didn't get them back. Well, that's our time.
Yeah, that was really long. Sorry. I hope you enjoyed our misfortunes at the airport.
Yeah. If you didn't, come back next week and we'll try again.
Next week we have our first Twins on Twinspiration.
Yeah, we're very excited.
So it's going to be a really fun episode, so you should listen.
Well, we haven't actually done the interview yet, so we don't know if it's going to be fun.
Yeah, because we were supposed to do the interview with them a while ago and we were having tech issues, but during the tech issues, we had a big knockdown, drag-out fight where you said you were never going to do the podcast again, so...
No, you said that.
We might have both said that.
I think you said you were never going to talk to me again.
Oh. Well, I could do the podcast without talking to you.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting episode.
Yeah.
It will either be really fun or our last one ever.
Hopefully Aspen doesn't fight with me again.
I won't. I love you. We did kiss on New Year's, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah, and I drank a beer.
Me too, but only a sip. Also, when we kiss, we don't actually touch our lips together.
Yeah, don't worry.
We just make the noises.
Okay, that's all for today. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and share with your friends and come back next week.
And tell us why you think LAX is bad.
And we love you. Bye.
Bye.